So you found the skeleton. How would you tell it's a dinosaur? You personally, how would you decide?
Well, interesting question. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on that.
All right, hello everybody. I am here with Maddie, who I would normally say is from Science Side Up, but I think now I'm going to start saying it's from OK Roll, our TTRPG channel. Although,
thank you, Dapper.
I suppose it's not. It's not just yours. It's a group effort, right? With you and a number of other people. Okay.
Yeah. So the main other person involved in OK Roll is a friend of mine. Her name is Allison. She's an IRL friend, and we both do stuff with our local improv theater. And so yeah, so for we had our first live stream a little over a week ago, and I think a lot of you guys showed up and showed a lot of love. That made me super happy. For our first, listen, the vibes are chill, the vibes are cozy, the vibes are put away your troubles. Don't think about the world being on fire for a little while. Because that's what I need in my life right now to help me, get through and keep fighting. So that's what we're doing. And so we're doing a live stream every second Sunday at this time. So 8 p.m. Central. And we're reviewing and playing some more indie TTRPG games. So we're starting off strong with Apothecaria, which is an absolute blast. And I'm not intending to let Science Side Up completely die. I haven't regularly streamed there since my daughter was born, but I have thoughts on the future of that, but I'm really excited about this TTRPG actual play project right now.
Right now, if I remember correctly, OK Roll is listed in the description, which yes, I just double checked. So if you are interested in some nice, relaxed, fun TTRPG stuff, go click there. It's the description starts with featuring space a link to Maddie's OK Roll channel. It's literally the second item in the description, so it's easy to find. Go there. Go, after this stream, maybe go watch the first stream they did, and if that's something that's up your alley, hit subscribe, turn on the notifications. I had a lot of fun watching it. I wasn't able to be there in live chat the entire time, but I did catch up, and there were a few times where I had to trying to catch up in times too, but I had a lot of fun. We are here, though, not primarily to talk about OK Roll or TTRPGs or
No, we're here to suffer.
Yeah, we're here
for your pleasure. I've got Chardonnay in a Chewbacca cup for tonight.
I have a lemon shandy in a Klingon warrior does not let friends face danger alone beer mug.
I also have Fit Check is my Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra band sweatshirt.
September 1991, the month and year it came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm mixing genres tonight.
Well, that's fine. Look, science fantasy, science fiction, and look, Star Trek is pretty soft on the science fiction end, so Yeah.
Listen, and I'm surrounded. Listen, I need my favorite things. I've got some of my favorite people here. And we're, I'm gonna yell at a screen. I'm gonna yell at Raw Matt a little. But listen, the last time we watched Raw Matt, the last video of Raw Matt's we reviewed here, we got pre-Yiddish.
Yeah, we did.
Beautiful gem.
Goodness, man.
And we would have never gotten that had we not
suffered. To be fair, one of the best memes on the channel is pre-Yiddish, and that is all thanks to Raw Matt. So
yeah.
Whew.
So
now we do have a few super chats to read here. Sora Nowheart for 50 sex. Thank you very much. I do always appreciate it when someone sends me some sex. Says, I shall confess now that with knowledge of imminent suffering attained, my curiosity has peaked. With a big smiley face. And then Rochin, a sports child radio star killer for 199 says, today I learned anencephaly. Well, there you go. The which is we don't really have much. You just kind of don't have a brain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sora Nowheart, who's has also just joined the channel at the tetrapod level, and then Rael Gatubello for $2 wrote me a whole bunch of Hebrew that I am probably not going to be very good at reading because I am spectacularly not good at reading Hebrew. So,
I'm going to guess the gist of what it says, Dapper.
You know what? I actually do know what it says. So it does say that answers in Genesis are a bag of dicks. And I know that because I recognize the word for Genesis.
Yep. Hey, if this is your first Tuesday night stream, welcome to the Drinking Rules. Right? This is where Dapper and some of his guests like me, we review just bottom tier creationism arguments.
This is the lowest of the low.
It's the lowest of the low. And so we've made a drinking game out of it. The first drink trigger is what you just saw. If anyone super chats anything to the effect of AIG is a bag of dicks, we will drink. Bonus points from me if there's alliteration involved.
Oh, it was Yiddish, which would probably make it even less likely that I will recognize it. I'm glad the Yiddish word for Genesis is just the Hebrew word for Genesis.
Oh, that's nice.
I mean, it makes
sense.
Second
trigger is if anyone super chat or milestone chats any of the Gajinka emojis.
Kaiju.
So, Kaiju. What have I been listening to? I don't know. Any of the Kaiju emojis. Godzilla, Mothra, the other one.
King Ghidorah.
King Ghidorah. What's a Gajinka? Do I want to know?
I don't know. It kind of sounds like Kinkajou, but I don't think that's it.
I don't know. I've been listening to too much Drawfee, and then they reference anime stuff that I don't know. Okay. Anyway, I probably don't want to know what that is, so we're gonna ignore it. Drink the third is if the streamer says something so dumb, we just have to cool our brains off. Similarly, fourth trigger. If they say something that is factually correct, that a thought that came out of their mouth that is true, that they weren't just reading something, that's a trigger too. My favorite is Trojan source. If they cite a source to support their argument that not only doesn't actually support their argument, but directly contradicts it, we will drink for Trojan source.
It's one of my favorites too.
Yeah, it's a great one. This one can only come up once per stream, because once they do it once, they do it a bazillion times. But this is, if they confuse Lucy with any of the larger taxa which she belongs to. What's that one called, Dapper?
It is ad hominid, and specifically is they have to confuse what we can learn just from the one specimen of Lucy with what we can know about any wider taxon. So, for instance, the specimen Lucy of Australopithecus afarensis didn't have feet. So if they say, well, Lucy didn't have feet, so we don't know if Australopithecus walked upright, that's ad hominid, because we have other Australopithecus feet.
Yeah. Rule the 7th. If someone gifts memberships, Dapper channel memberships, we'll drink for each membership up to absurdity, at which point we would just finish our drink. And we'll go from there. We can also drink if Dapper is a professional. So if Dapper messes something up, like forgets to unmute himself or forgets to mute me while I'm rambling about a story right before stream starts, that's not Maddie's a professional. That's Dapper's a professional. He knows me and my ramblingness.
You were muted until just after I introduced you.
Excellent. Yeah, well, I assumed. But if Dapper messes something up, now it has to be Dapper's fault. It can't be YouTube crashes or my house gets struck by lightning.
Yeah, that's not me. That's not on me.
Yeah, that's not on Dapper. That's not Dapper as a professional.
Acts of Google and acts of God, not on me.
Yeah. Also, if Raw Matt here mentions a certain German political party that came to power in the 30s and is, maybe making a comeback.
Maybe people are just performatively pretending to be members of that party in front of the presidential seal during inaugurations. He mentions those guys.
Hey, fun fact. Did you know that Elon Musk is actually self-diagnosed as autistic?
Yeah, there's no actual evidence that he's in any way autistic. And also, funner fact, being autistic doesn't make you do Hitler salutes.
That's true. I'm autistic. I don't do that.
I've never met I've met a lot of people who are autistic, and I've seen a lot of people do various things to stim, and it's never been one of them, ever.
It's not one of them. My go-to is this. But one of the most common ones is to flop your hands like this.
Yeah.
Right? If this was something, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's not. Okay. Cool. What drink triggers have I missed, Dapper? Because I'm doing that off the top of my
you
head.
have missed. That's all right. You have missed. If there is a prediction, if we're not sure what Raw Matt's going to say next, but one of us can get it, then that will count. There's also if we hear from Godzilla or Mothra audibly, which is a bit of a semi-random one, then we will. I'm sorry. Take a drink for that. And also, if there is a joke that does not land or a story that did not happen, we will take a drink for that. Those are going to be, a bit of a judgment call. But let's see. I believe that is it. There's a couple things I want to go over. First, we have a few more super chats. So, let me see. Kent Professional Ice Dome Miner Halstead for $4.99 says, please help me feel happy on my grandma's last day. I hope that I can help. Look, that's rough, and I'm sorry. And look, if you enjoy the show, I'm sure that you'll enjoy this one. But I am sorry. Naram Deputs for $2 sends all 3 kaiju emojis: Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah. So we'll take a drink for that.
Cheers. that
was for $2. Dutch Mammoths Never Saw Snow Tunicate for $5 says, I would like to apologize on behalf of us Matts. There was a mix-up when distributing intelligence among the Matts. Matt Powell was given 0. Yeah, Raw Matt and Matt Powell. Pillpunk, half dog, half canine for $5 says, I don't usually get to hang out on weekday streams because work, but today is a snow day. Only problem is Dr. Dan is streaming right now too. Yeah, well, it's tough. There's a lot going on, and I realized a while back I'm never going to be able to completely not ever overlap with other people that whose output I value in terms of like their content. Christine, Glaciers can exist in a flood V for $10 with the first super chat that counts for the goal, by the way. Says, Gajinkas are human-sized versions of non-human creatures like Pokemon or Moogles. Further, AIG Gajinkas would resemble a Dugtrio or a Wiglet.
Thank you.
Awesome. I'll take a drink for that.
You haven't said what the goal is tonight.
I will be doing that shortly.
Mm-hmm.
Jake insert clever dapper inside joke here. Nelson for $5 says, I love Bent, I love Vish, and they should be speaking up more often like Kip and Maddie. Make Dapper stop. So he...
I think I just got a weird compliment for interrupting you.
Yeah, a little bit. First of all, I don't think Vish has any problem speaking up. And Ben speaks up. Like I've talked to him, and and he speaks up when he wants to. He does not always want to. It is less of a. I'm not going to say there's nothing about it being a me thing, but it is more of a him thing. Then Ambi Carcinogistic Z for $10 says, importantly, Elon Musk self-identified... I'm sorry, I mispronounced his name. Importantly, Elon Musculini self-identifies as having Asperger's, which is a distinction made by, those Nazi doctors to decide which autistics would be allowed to live and no longer recognized in the DSM-5. Well, that's fun.
Yeah. So, also, most people, the reason inside the autism community we say that like self-diagnosis is valid is because of the financial barriers to diagnosis, especially for adults. Right? Yeah,
which don't exist for Mr. Muscolini.
Exactly. So the fact that that's absurd.
Yeah.
That's absolutely absurd.
I'm not going to actually say he's the richest man in the world because, almost all of that wealth is made up nonsense, but he's certainly much, much more wealthy than almost anyone has ever been. He can afford to go see a doctor and get a diagnosis.
There are no barriers to him receiving a diagnosis. So his self-diagnosis isn't valid, right?
Heck, he could probably pay a doctor to just say he has autism and be done with it.
But he doesn't want to. Listen, It wasn't easy to get my diagnosis. We did a lot.
All right, so let's go talk about the goal. So earlier in my Discord server for supporters, the fact that I studied Arabic in college came up, and also the fact that I did once sing in a Arab choir came up. And so if y'all give $10 or above super chats, I will sing a little snippet of something I might have sung in my time in a choir, which primarily sang in Arabic and English. But what I'll do will be in Arabic because it's been requested, and apparently you want to hear me sing, which is weird and incomprehensible to me. But apparently Maddie's excited about it. Maddie, you're allowed to super chat for the goal too if you want to.
Okay.
Jeez. Also, I want to say thank you. A number of people have got bent things from his wish list. Also, I know we didn't hit the goal for me to get something from his wish list, but I did anyway. Mostly because I accidentally hit 50 instead of 30 on the goal, and then I just kind of went with it, which wasn't my actual intent. So I got him something anyway. I will let him give more specific thank yous. For 100 sex, Sora Nowhart says, there is also an issue with inability to get diagnosis due to other constraints. I am currently at least 1 to 2 years waiting to get my ADHD investigation. Has not yet even begun. Well, that's rough. That is unfortunate.
That's really rough.
Yeah, I am sorry.
And the thing is that like a lot of those issues, like lack of availability of providers, right, is also easily overcome when you have effectively infinite money, right? Like,
you don't even need effectively infinite money. $1 million is a lot of money, and it will last you a very long time, but it's not even close to infinite.
Right.
And it's more than enough to get any diagnosis that is actually like valid.
Yeah. Yeah, that's more than enough to you can buy your place at the front of a line, like especially in the US health system, right? Like that's
in most places. A lot of countries that have single payer healthcare also have options where if you have money and you want to just get private healthcare done faster, you can just pay to have it done faster at a private clinic.
Yeah. Anyway,
Jake,
so I'm sorry you're dealing with that, but like you're right that there are other barriers, but again, like and a lot of money fixes it.
It turns out that while money can't necessarily buy you happiness, it can buy you a lot of the things that make you happy.
Yeah. No, so like the thing about that, and I forget what this study was, so I don't want to just talk out my butt, but like the wisdom of that
family-friendly show.
Yeah, but like no, so the money does in fact buy you happiness up until the point that you're no longer worried about like basic needs.
Yeah, it's a hierarchy. It's a hierarchy of needs thing, right? Money can fulfill a whole bunch of the lower rungs on the hierarchy of needs, but it can't actually fulfill the higher rungs. And so once you get to the point where you have enough money to meet your lower like couple tiers of the hierarchy of needs, additional money isn't going to necessarily make you happier unless you're actually using it in a way that does things like actualizes you. So let's see. Jake insert clever dapper inside joke here. Nelson for $10 says, "Shit, that's worth a tenner." I don't know why people want to hear me sing badly in Arabic. Tad for $10 says, "I want to hear the dino sing AIG's Bindle of Phalli." Take a drink. Okay.
Cheers.
Let's see. Everything is set. Also, of course, we do have the regular fundraising thing, where if we can get this all the way to 100%, I will have a fancy avatar for my next video, which I'm hoping to get done by the end of this week for early access. So, fingers crossed on that. I have most of the script done. My hope is that I can finish the script tomorrow, record tomorrow night, animate the next day. Anyway, let's hit play because, we're almost a half an hour into this, and we haven't heard a peep from Raw Matt. So, here we go.
My stalling tactics are working.
No doubt, as are people's super chats. That's another thing, right? If you want to avoid hearing Raw Matt, just keep super chatting, and I will keep reading them, and then we won't hear Raw Matt. Yeah. But instead, here we go. Now, this is Raw Matt's video about Noah's Ark that has 1.7 million views on YouTube.
Wild.
Yeah. It's absolutely absurd. Nowadays, he has trouble breaking 1,000 views.
The events of Noah's flood are laid
Sorry about the music.
Out in scripture. Though different theories exist on exactly how the event occurred.
Do you think there's even a single theory that exists on how the event occurred, Maddie, in a scientific sense?
No.
Okay.
There's not. Because, let's be very clear. There is no evidence that a global flood ever occurred. So why would an honest scientist try to provide a theory for something that there is no evidence for?
In
Wild.
fact, I would say that it's worse than that. There is absolute conclusive evidence that there never was a global flood. It is 100% precluded by all the available evidence.
Yeah.
Well, all the available evidence that's dispositive to the question, obviously. there's evidence that's
Right,
not
yeah.
dispositive. So, okay, sure, whatever. All right, here we go.
The problem I see is that the theories are so busy competing with one another that they lack the ability to see how well they work in conjunction with one another.
Okay, I'm just taking a drink for that being the problem that Raw Matt thinks is happening. Guys,
That's
all
the
of our
problem.
crazy hypotheses that are physically impossible, you gotta realize they're all true at the same time. Okay, Matt.
Yeah. They're
Wow.
all true.
Rail got to Bella for $2 says, they'd be lucky to be considered hypotheses. Yeah, they would be very lucky. Silent Tetrapod, who's been a member for 24 months, says, let's interrupt Raw Matt again with a heart and a Ghidorah, and we will take a drink for that.
Cheers. I remember once when I was in college, there was a fraternity doing a fundraiser for their philanthropic arm.
Actually, I have an idea, Maddie. Real quick. Tell that story, because I am going to be right back. There's something I have to take care of, so just tell that story.
Okay. They were absolute geniuses, because they set up in, like, the student center, and what they did was they played Mbop really loud and on repeat, right? And for every dollar somebody donated, they would turn it off for 1 minute. And they made so much money. I don't currently have chat up, so I'm going to pull that up so I can say hello to everybody and see what y'all are saying. I'm really happy to be here with you guys tonight. But yeah, I thought that was an absolute brilliant fundraiser. YouTube, please. I watch all of Dapper's videos. Why is the live I'm currently on not? Anyhow, so we are iced inside of our house right now. We can't leave. Oh, hello. Okay. Dapper didn't come back. I heard the time delay pulling up the video. Yeah. Zerlon, thank you. I'm happy to be here. Yeah. So we are, you missed the magic healing of the blue pack. I loved my blue fanny pack. I'm playing in a new home game, not Star Trek. It's D&D. And I'm playing a bard. I'm actually trying out the 5.5 College of Dance bard that I'm very excited about. Because it's basically like a monk full caster. It's wild. But I am the only healer in the party. So I'm like, oh, okay. If I knew I was gonna be the healer, I would not have built a bard, but I'm really excited about my half orc ballerina. Beautiful ballerina princess. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, you're in the process of getting iced, Chris? Yeah, we are fully iced in, and it's gonna be a doozy. Left the house today, will not be doing that again. Daycare closed early today, and they were closed on Monday for like staff training. Yeah, guys, please let me see those beautiful pelagic tunicates in chat. I want to see them. I love pelagic tunicates. Jillian, you said that's fantastic. I really hope that you're referring to Evelyn Bonebreaker. I go by Evie to my friends though. She's all charisma. I used point by, and so her int and wisdom are both at 8 because listen, she's young and stupid. And I'm excited about it. Fearmonger, can I tell the weather to stop being so frigid? I can try, but listen. Funding for like NSF and NOAA is being cut, and so the weather machine, I can't do anything with it. Look at those beautiful pelagic tunicates. I love to see them. They're the best. Oof. You're keeping your apartment. Oh man, Dutch Mammoths never saw snow tunicate. I'm sorry you're having to keep your apartment cold. That's really rough. Our heat out here is actually based off of natural gas, not electricity, so it's not as expensive. But in the summer, our AC is electricity, so that's an absolute beast. Listen, Sailor Star Sparrow, I see your wormies. You get like, you're with us. Please join. We're here together in a beautiful pelagic tunicate community. Yeah, the rain in Southern California. So this is what drives me nuts about like communicating climate change stuff to folks, is that like, so Southern California, right, has always sort of struggled with drought and flood cycles, right? But like climate change, the planet getting warmer, will make those existing cycles so much worse. So longer periods of drought and then more severe rains and flooding. But the longer periods of drought make the land even less able to absorb in that moisture when it does get the rain. So even though you're getting these like more flooding, you would think that would like fix the problem, but it doesn't. It actually will continue to make it worse. But yeah, climate skeptics, please keep saying Al Gore said Florida would be underwater by now. Al Gore is not a scientist.
No,
right?
he is not.
And he was working off of old data. Right? And he's trying like, yeah, Florida is still currently above water, but California is on fire, right? Like,
yeah.
Gummy worms. I love gummy worms. Sorry, I'm just chatting with chat.
No, I get it.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Did we read Ambi Carcinogistics membership chat?
I didn't. I did not read any super chat.
Well, it says it's Ambi Carcinogistics Z, who's been a member for 10 months and is at the tetrapod level, says uncooked Matthew shall be silenced, and that worked actually because I unfortunately had to step away for a second. Although I do see that you have betrayed me in encouraging just voluminous pelagic tunicates to invade the chat.
Beautiful community of pelagic tunicates
Disgusting.
And also various worms, living and gummy, are beautiful.
The worms and gummies I'll agree to.
Embrace the pelagic tunicates.
Impossible.
And they're... Listen, do you want your brain to dissolve right now?
No. Then I'd be like raw mat.
Oh.
Maybe raw mat actually is a tunicate. Maybe that's what explains all of this.
Yeah, maybe.
He dissolved his own brain through
he sure did.
breatharianism and
maybe
MMA.
Yeah, and breatharianism and concussions.
Yeah.
Oof.
Hey,
there was a
concussions are bad.
Concussions are bad.
Don't get a concussion. T. Hartman for $5 says AIG is an alliterative assembly of abominable appendages. Yay for a fun live stream to listen to while designing parts to 3D print. Thank you very much. I actually have also been brainstorming things to 3D print because at some point I would like to play some Trench Crusade. Yeah, Maddie, do you know about Trench Crusade?
No, but I'm gonna guess it's like a Warhammer-esque game.
Yeah. Like... It's an alternate history skirmish level tabletop war game.
Oh, okay, cool.
And it's 1914, so it's like alt history World War I. And the divergence point comes in 1099 when the Crusaders take Jerusalem, and then rather than just establishing the kingdom of Jerusalem, a bunch of Knights Templar find a demonic artifact hidden under the temple, and they open a gate to hell.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
Yeah. So, anyway, here's raw mat.
In this video, you will see a conglomeration of many models.
That was a big word for Matt, so everyone, round of applause.
That was a big word. I'm going to go ahead and drink for that. And I think he used it correctly.
He did, actually, yeah, so we'll take a drink.
Yeah.
Well done, Matt.
Which together all take care of the potential issues that critics might bring forward.
Okay, I want to point out that Raw Matt made this video about 5 years ago, and since then, there has been a non-stop parade of live streams on the Standing for Truth channel, Donnie Deals' channel, involving him and Donnie Deals, attempting desperately to overcome the nigh infinite reasons that we know that Noah's flood didn't happen. So, in no way, just performatively, we know that based on his own behavior, Ramat is not buying his own bullshit here.
Right.
Roshina, Schwarzschild Radio Star Keller for $4.99 says, save the world with deadly lasers instead of deadly slideshow. Oh, and I do need to update this guy here. We're at 22%. Thank you very much. And we are at 5, so we're 1/4 of the way there to forcing me to sing a little snippet in Arabic.
And we're 1/4 of the way through tonight's stream. So we are on pace.
I suppose that's true. My Unfinished Journey for $2.22 says, Hail Nero, Daps, Maddie, and pelagic tunicates. Gross. But hail to you too, I suppose.
Hail.
Alright, here we go. Oh, I was gonna say, is there gonna be anything other than music? But no, he's gonna go with... Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh, he's just literally identifying ancient Egyptian deities with like Noah and his descendants.
Yeah, because English words like Hem to Shem, is that just because those sound the same in English?
I think that's literally it. Yeah, it's just they sound a little bit the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That's rough.
Well, let's make him say the dumb, and we don't have to assume the dumb.
Okay. But for $10, Jake, insert clever dapper inside joke here. Nelson says, "Yay for pelagic tunicates and their synthetic counterparts. Snap, snap, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Say no more." Oh no. I will have no follow-up to anything about synthetic pelagic tunicate lookalikes. If you know, you know. I feel like Maddie doesn't know.
I don't know. I also just spilled some wine. I'm very clumsy.
Maddie, you're right. Yeah, the different flood myths are all happening at very different times. They have different extents. They have different solutions. Like, actually, Answers in Genesis likes to talk about how, like, the Havasupai Americans from the Grand Canyon area have a flood myth. And it's like, okay, yeah, but it's a flood myth where their legendary ancestral mytho-historical figure struck the ground hard enough to open up the Grand Canyon, and that's how the floodwaters were taken care of, because it didn't actually flood the whole world or everyone, because all the floodwaters were drained into the just now formed Grand Canyon that he opened up by hitting the earth really hard. How is that anything like the Noah's flood story, other than lots of water? Which, here's the thing about myths. There's a lot of myths about similar things, like the god who throws lightning from the sky, or the trickster god, or, hey, what if there was just a whole bunch of water? Like, no, more than you're thinking.
Yeah, lots.
Or, like, what if someone was tall, but, like, really tall?
Really tall.
Like, those are just things that humans think of. They're not really super special that someone has thought this up. It's... Yeah.
Humans are creative. We have imaginations, right? And sometimes we come up with the same thing independently of each other.
Yep, it turns out. It's like when the ancient alien guys are like, how could these people from so many different places in the world have figured out how to put rock on top of other rock?
Yeah, like how they all build pyramids, because that's a very simple, structurally sound design.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
if you want to build something tall, a pyramid is not a bad choice.
Exactly.
For structurally sound.
But rather than just use that as evidence, let's use physical evidence instead.
You mean actual evidence?
Let's
Great.
do it.
Yes, Matt, let's use evidence instead of not evidence. Oh, here's the thing about a legend, right? A legend, at best, is a claim that needs evidence in order for it to be accepted. Oh, you're getting buffering, Kent Halstead? I am showing a good connection on my side, and no drops frames. It might be on your side, or it might be on YouTube side if other people are getting it. So...
Yeah. Also, Lieutenant Fits of Rage donated 5 memberships that we missed.
Are you sure it went through? Because I don't see it anywhere. Did you actually, like, click all the way through on the dialogue? That's weird, because I'm not seeing any new memberships. Did anyone get a membership? I don't think it went through, Fits of Rage. I don't know why it wouldn't have. I don't see it, or anyone who was gifted a membership, so I'm not sure what the deal is there. YouTube has been screwing with the membership gifting, and I wish they would. I really wish they would stop. They changed the algorithm for how they determine who gets it, and it's much less weighted towards people who are actively participating in chat. So now there's less incentive to give memberships because they're not going to go to the people that you know. So, you have the receipt in your email? All right, well, I'll just take 5 drinks for it, because that's silly. 1.
Thank you, Lieutenant Fits of Rage.
2, 3, 4, and 5. And then Naram What's for $5 says, what if someone was dumb, but like really dumb? Oh, that's Matt. And Wise Men of Chell? I'm not sure I know that reference. So
oh yeah, I'm gonna take 1 extra drink for YouTube as a professional, I think.
Yeah, you know what? Sure. YouTube, way to go. Way to be a professional.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Okay. If someone could buy 1 gifted membership, if you're willing to, just to test to see if it's working, I would appreciate that. And if it doesn't, let me know, because then that is like not just a one-time thing. But if you don't want to spend the $5 just to test that, I get that. And I will hold no grudges towards anyone who doesn't do that.
Dapper, I'm trying to do it.
Okay, cool.
I'll
hit play while you try to do that.
Here's the question. According to Genesis, the Garden of Eden was a lush paradise, one for eternal life.
I mean, look, that's a common Christian interpretation. It's a little bit up in the air as far as I'm concerned, whether or not it actually was intended for eternal life. Oh, and then 3 people did it, including Maddie. Thank you very much. It was not just me fishing to get a bunch of gifted memberships, but I do appreciate it, and we will take the 3 drinks. So it is working. Yeah. Overall, so I have no idea what happened. Fits of Rage, I'm sorry. So there goes those 3. And that was Josh McGee's Science Side Up and Fade to Gray. Post-Diluvian Flying Glaciers. Do you know about the post-Diluvian Flying Glaciers?
Okay. Okay, wait, I think I've heard this on here before. So is the idea that like the glaciers... No, wait, but don't most creationists put the Ice Age like pretty far after the flood?
Yep, so this is from a Bodhi Hodge thing. In his book about the Tower of Babel, he talks about how the glaciers were aloft, apparently not realizing that aloft means it's hovering over the ground.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
I do know about that.
That was Bodhi I
watch your Saturday streams on a delay. So I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, Bodhi not knowing what the word aloft was just...
Oof.
Wow, buddy. That's... Like, I'm increasingly just thinking of Bodhi as, like, a 5-year-old who's just really trying.
Yeah,
and he's just not quite
I have to say,
it.
Like, Bodhi... Okay, so, like, listening to y'all read Bodhi's book as a as someone, like, cosplaying scientific writing, right? Or academic writing is funnier to me than Kent Hovind's, like, dissertation.
Well, he's not even trying there.
He's not trying. Right? Like, Bodhi, there's something honest about it, right? About the way he's writing.
He is, yeah. I think he's honestly trying, and I think he honestly thinks that he's doing a good job. Right?
Yeah.
It's like when your toddler brings you, like, a bunch of scribbles on a piece of paper and says, like, it's a kitty. And you're like, well, I have no idea how you think that this looks like a kitty, but I appreciate the effort, and it's going to go on the refrigerator.
Yeah, no, Dapper, when my toddler does that, I say, this is the most beautiful drawing anyone has ever made in the entire world. I mean it.
The thing I said was more of an internal dialogue, or monologue, I suppose, than an external thing you say to the child.
Yeah. Listen, a wild thing happens when you're a parent, and your child's scribbles become the most beautiful thing you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah. We have a few things here. My Unfinished Sock has gifted 1 membership, and Lieutenant Fits of Rage has gifted 5 that actually went through. So we'll take 6 drinks. 1.
Cheers.
3. 4. 5. And 6. And Rail Gatubello for $5 says, to be fair, glaciers hovering in the air is still more plausible than Kent's canopy theory. That is correct, actually. That is just straight up correct. All right, here we go.
Wide vegetarianism and complete harmony with our creator, mankind, and the beast of the field. There was no bloodshed, disease, or even death.
See,
citation.
Yeah, first of all, there's a citation there, and of course, it's not possible for animals to exist without there being death. Even if you want to say, oh, well, they didn't eat other animals. Okay, well, guess what? Plants, fungi, single-celled organisms, those are all alive. And you can be like, well, I mean, yeah, but they didn't have the breath of life. Okay, maybe. But what happens if Adam or Eve or an elephant stepped on an ant? And if you want to say that they didn't have the breath of life, you're contradicting the Bible. Because the Bible both says that everything in whose nostrils was the breath of life perished. And it also, at the end of the flood, and it also says that all the creeping things perished. And elsewhere in Genesis, it tells you what the creeping things are. And it includes things like snails and insects and spiders and whatnot. So, according to the Bible, if you want to let the Bible interpret the Bible, all of those animals had the breath of life. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you don't think
also,
they have nostrils. Go ahead.
When it's approximately 16 degrees of freedom outside, you can just leave your wine in the garage, so you don't have to go inside for a refill.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
So, this part of the garage is climate controlled, right? The rest of the garage where the cars live is not.
I know. So when I was growing up, my mom's sister lived across the street from us. My aunt or aunt, depending on your dialect. And every winter, she just used her porch which was closed in and had a locking door on it, as food storage.
Yeah.
That's just where she would put all of her frozen stuff. And she would go and buy, I think she would go to Costco or something. And she would just buy just so much frozen stuff. And would just leave it on the porch because it's not going to thaw for the next month and a half or something. And who cares? Roshina Schwarzchild Radio Star Keller for $9.99 says, here's a tenner from my Panera Bread norovirus. Oof, not a sponsor, TM. Yeah, that's rough, and I'm sorry to hear that you have a norovirus from Panera Bread. But at least you didn't drink the death lemonade.
Yeah! I'm sorry, it's not funny, but it's a little funny.
It's not funny that a woman actually died, but it's a little bit funny that they were just advertising this and not pointing out that 1 cup of this death lemonade has 6 cups worth of coffee worth of caffeine or something crazy like that. To the point that someone who was very careful about her caffeine intake as a result of a heart problem just thought, oh, this is fine, it's just lemonade, and then she died.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Panera Bread, if you're going to put more caffeine than most energy drinks have in your lemonade, you really need to tell people about that up front and be very clear that that's what you're doing.
Yeah, because also my toddler enjoys lemonade. And so if we're at a restaurant, she gets to have that as a treat. So I don't want to give my toddler caffeine. No, thank you.
Yeah, especially not that much caffeine.
Oh, yeah. Side note. Oh my gosh. Okay. Toddler asked, she has a little tea set, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was drinking coffee and she wanted to have coffee in her cup, right? And I said, of course, because I drink my coffee black and bitter, right? I'm like, no toddler will want this. And then she took her little spoon and was stirring it and started taking spoonful mouthfuls of the black coffee and was liking it. And I was like, oh no.
Oh. You gotta watch out. She's gonna develop that caffeine addiction right quick.
Ooh.
All right, here's Raw Matt, a man who may or may not have a caffeine addiction. We can't tell.
We don't know.
Neither plants nor trees even have thorns or thistles. Man was created to live.
See, that also poses problems, right? Because here's the thing: thorns and thistles are development of plants to avoid being eaten. And if you're going to claim that all of the animals in the garden were vegetarian, plants still have a selection pressure to avoid being eaten, because every plant that's eaten is now going to be less likely to reproduce, and if it's eaten entirely, well, it's just not going to reproduce. So, did natural selection not work? What prevented these plants from going extinct? How did cacti work? Were there just no cacti? Are they all part of some other bigger kind? Which kind would that be? See, all of this sounds nice if all you are is some guy in the early Iron Age who doesn't know about other ecosystems, who doesn't know about biology, and who's just writing a story down about a paradise that humans fell from, which explains human suffering in the present.
Yeah, but, like it's a theodicy, right? Like
to some extent, yeah. I mean, it's more than just a theodicy, but it's also that.
Yeah, and but also that's a testable claim, right? Because lots of YEC groups will say rocks from this layer, right, and older are pre-flood, and then this is post-flood, right? Like a lot of them make that distinction. And so we could look for plant fossils, right, in pre-flood rock. I guess they would say that might be pre-flood, but post-fall. That has...
Yeah, they would. And also they probably wouldn't even say it's pre-flood.
Okay.
But
Never mind.
So, also, Aiden's Miscellany for 6 months, who's been a member for 6 months and is at the amnio level, says, ooh, sounds like I can use the Death Lemonade to sub in for my ADHD meds if JFK succeeds in banning them. Woo! Okay, I am not a doctor, but I'm going to say that there is a reason that doctors do not prescribe caffeine pills instead of things like Adderall for your ADHD. Because while I will agree that it will probably partially alleviate the symptoms, it is a fairly dangerous chemical if you are taking it in high doses. You can have heart failure. Don't go too crazy on the caffeine.
Talk to your doctor.
Yeah, talk to your doctor. Don't just drink copious amounts of caffeinated liquid. I say this as someone who periodically finds himself addicted to caffeine and has to do various unpleasant purges every once in a while. But, yeah, every time I would come into port from, like, an underway, I would have to, like, get rid of the caffeine addiction. It was rough.
Oof.
Yeah, because, of course, I was obviously addicted to caffeine during the entire underway. Obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. Pregnancy sucked because I couldn't have... Well, I didn't completely cut out coffee. I would have, like, I would
That's
have,
why
like,
she likes coffee. That's it. That's the mystery solved.
That's the mystery. I've ruined it. No, I had it, like, I had 1 cup, and I did it in, like, so that I knew exactly... So I used, like, a single cup making machine so that I knew exactly how much caffeine was in 1 pod, right? It wasn't a Keurig. It was like an espresso. That's what it is. I have an espresso. I have an espresso because my father-in-law prefers... Like, he really loves Nespresso coffie, and he came to visit, and we didn't have one, and he got sad, and so he bought us one, like, the next time he was buying us a gift. So it's kind of for when he visits, but also I get to have it.
This is for you, anyway, but also for me.
Yeah, there's my, like, exactly 60 milligrams of caffeine a day, right? That I would savor.
Becca Justiniano says, one of my ADHD students was prescribed caffeinated beverages. Hey, if that's what the doctor has prescribed, and that student and that doctor are figuring out what the proper dose and everything is, that's great. Don't just go decide that Death Lemonade is the right thing for your treatment plan without consulting a doctor. You should definitely consult a doctor.
With especially undiagnosed ADHD, like, you find out later that they've been self-medicating with caffeine.
Oh, yeah. Look,
stimulants make the brain go burr.
I'm familiar with the concept of self-medication. Don't worry.
Because you were in the Navy.
I was in the Navy, and also the entire world is falling apart. So here's the play button.
Live forever.
Cheers!
It was only sin that brought death into the world and broke apart this harmony. This is what is referred to as the fall.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Who is this for? Because anyone who's attracted to, like, what is this even called? I'm going to try to double check. I'm on Matt's channel here. I'm sorting by popular. The best movie explaining Noah's flood ever made. Okay. The only people who are likely to click on that are Christians. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe you might get some Muslims. All of them are aware of the fall. All of them. This isn't news. And also, the fall and original sin aren't the same thing. I've had someone try to call me out on that. They're not the same thing.
That's true.
We disobeyed.
Sorry.
Did you know that sometimes caffeine is prescribed to preemie babies to help them stay awake and regulate their heartbeat? So they have trouble staying awake long enough to eat to like maintain their weight, right?
Oh.
And it also helps like regulate their heart rate because preemie babies are wild.
How was it administered?
I know this I guess it's through an IV.
That's how I need my caffeine. Let's go. Let's hook it up.
Yeah, just a line.
Right into my blood.
Yeah, the NICU will hook you up, man. I know this because my sister, she is a pediatrician.
Okay.
And she is not a neonatologist, but in residency did a ton of NICU rotations. Because one thing that the Navy Medical Corps, my sister did her residency in the Navy, they want their pediatricians to be super prepared because if you're the pediatrician in Guam, then there is no NICU, right?
It's you. So, you are the NICU.
It's you. You are the NICU. You've got to like take care of that baby until you can like medevac them out. And so she had to do way more NICU stuff than a normal peds rotation.
Okay.
Anyway, and so and it stressed, bless her heart, it stressed her out so much. She was really good at it, but she was like having a panic attack the whole time.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Oh, Jillian, that's really sweet. Yeah. Now she does a regular like pediatrician clinic and some nursery, so she gets to see newborns who are not in the NICU. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
And ate the forbidden fruit. From that time and on.
Right, I'm gonna
nom, nom, nom.
Look. I get the mythology.
Yeah.
We're here to talk about the flood, Matt. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit.
Yeah.
Death and disease.
Nom, nom, nom. Forbidden fruit.
The fall of nakedness of man was great. The end of all flesh has come before me. For the earth arc, a word that means box or chip.
It does mean box, although I will say I do think it's perfectly fine if you want to depict it as a more boat-shaped thing rather than just like. Yeah. An actual, like, you know, rectangle thing. Whatever, I don't care. The seaworthiness of the arc is so low on my list of reasons why the entire story is absolute nonsense that I will just spot it. Like, sure, whatever. It was a seaworthy shape. Okay.
Ancient people were capable of making boats. That's not one of the arguments we're trying to make.
Yeah.
Okay, I have one more silly story about my sister in the NICU, right? Okay, so she was taking care of her friend's kid, right? The kid was like 5 years old, and the kid's mom is a neonatologist, right? Works NICU, all of that. But her little 5-year-old son didn't quite comprehend what his mom's job was. And so after his checkup with my sister, he told his mom, yeah, Dr. Name redacted. Dr. Maddie's sister is a real doctor, not like you.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh,
and by the way, my sister's friend is like texting her this the whole time because she thinks it's hilarious. And then he goes, and Dr. Maddie's sister prescribed cookies. And
well, that's the mark of a real doctor right there. That's how you know.
Yeah, and my sister immediately texted her back and was like, I absolutely did. You must get him cookies.
Doctor's orders.
Yeah, doctor's orders. He needs them.
Right-handed Sid says, the heat problem that they still haven't solved? Yes. That is probably my biggest objection. Although the thing is, there are so many more that just completely wreck the entire story that, like, giving them a pass on, like, the shape of the boat, like, sure, whatever.
Sure. That shape of the boat is like have an order of magnitude or two.
Right. Heck, I will say you can use the formula for figuring out the volume of a box shape to figure out the internal volume of the boat and then still say it's boat shaped anyway. And basically it's a TARDIS boat. Whatever, it still won't help.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Noah's Ark is bigger on the inside. Whatever. Roshan Schwarzschild Radio Star Keller for $4.99 says, it's like young Earth creationists have never heard of geological uplift. You know, there's a lot of places in which they do seem to have never heard of uplift. Like, one of my favorites is like, how could the Grand Canyon have been cut by a river if part of the Grand Canyon has higher walled slopes than other parts? Then the river would have had to flow uphill. It's like, that's because of an uplift that is uplifting slower than the rate of erosion of the river. That's it. That's the whole explanation, and it's just right over their heads.
One of the very few, this wasn't necessarily a YEC argument that I heard as a child, but it was a Noah's Ark story is true argument I heard as a child. And it was why is there like marine life on the top of mountains, right? How could that have possibly gotten there if it wasn't for Noah's flood? And
Yes.
I'm like in elementary school at this point, and I'm like, good question, right? But then I'm like, then later I learned about how geography works and geology and plate tectonics, and it's, oh man, that's not that hard, man. Like,
turns out
Himalayas are getting taller.
There's this thing called an orogeny, and it can push ocean sediments up into the air. Not aloft, though. Because that's not how things work, Bodhi.
That's different.
Yep.
That's a different word.
That has a specific meaning that does not fit here.
Yeah. You can't just thesaurus it, man. Like,
to specific dimensions, materials, and construction. And Noah did, according unto all that the Lord commanded him. And Noah and his family entered the ark, along with 2 of every kind of land animal. And then, in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month and the 17th day of the month, the fountains of the great deep broke forth.
Okay, so this is a animation of part of the Earth's crust splitting open, releasing a subterranean water reservoir. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Those aren't a thing, and they can't be. It's physically impossible. Right? There are aquifers, and there are underground lakes, but there are no subcrustal oceans, which is what this whole idea requires.
But you know, if you were an ancient people who lived in a more desert region, and your primary source of water was, say, wells
and springs and whatnot, yeah.
And springs and whatnot, hey, not a big stretch to think that there might be lots of water below you, right?
It's just that we happen to know that there isn't and there can't be. So
right, we know that that's not true, but like, it's fully understandable how this story comes about, even though, again, we know it's not physically true. It's the same thing, like, giants come about from someone going, hear me out, person, but big.
Really big.
Right? And this is like, hey, you know how we have water underground because we can get at it with wells? What if that was lots? Right? Like, that's it. It's just extrapolating what if it was bigger from what they already know, you know? And this idea that like ancient people aren't creative. I've heard you say this a lot, Dapper, and some of our other like science team friends, of no one has more disdain for the intelligence of the average like YEC person than professional young Earth creationists.
Oh yes, by a lot.
Right. Same thing that in the similar vein, no one has like contempt for the intelligence of ancient people, intelligence and creativity of ancient people than people who take the Bible literally.
Yeah, right? That does tend to be true. Although also I would say ancient astronaut people are up there too.
They're very far up there. Yeah, they're possibly worse. I'm not sure. That we would have to do a comparison.
Yeah. Also Atlantis people are up there too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's one thing that it's pretty obvious about the Earth if you know anything about like the Earth, which is that it's basically a density tower in a spherical shape, right? So a density tower is a fun thing you might have done in school, right? Where you take different substances and maybe a few different objects of different densities that are generally not miscible with each other. And then you pour them all into one, usually like a cylinder or something like that. And you can see that the densest things settle to the bottom, and then they go up in order of lesser density, right? Similarly, the Earth is made of primarily things like iron and nickel at the core. Well, those are the densest things that the Earth is made of in large quantities. Obviously, there are heavier things here and there, like lead and gold and whatnot. But, sorry, those are relatively trace elements when you're taking the entirety of the Earth, including like the mantle and the core and whatnot, into consideration. And then generally, the things that Earth is made of get lighter as you go away from the core. So you get things like silicate minerals, water, gases. And the reason for that is that any other arrangement of the bulk matter of the Earth is fundamentally going to be unstable. So
no, actually. The reason for that is because there are other planetary bodies that are not differentiated by density, right? That is evidence that the Earth was molten, right?
Right, yeah. And that's right. But the other thing is, if you had enough water to flood the Earth under the crust, that's going to be a very rapid inversion to establish the density gradient back again, because you don't have anything that's going to have enough strength that's going to be able to hold up the entire crust over a layer of water. And if there's nothing holding it up, then it's just going to immediately collapse.
Yes, sorry, I misunderstood the point you were making. I was thinking about differentiated versus undifferentiated bodies. And you were thinking of, well, the Earth is density sorted because we are a differentiated body. So if you put a layer of water, right, that is outside of the density bubble, right, it's outside of the density layer. Yes, that is absolutely unstable. Sorry, I was thinking of
no worries.
Like the moon, which is not fully differentiated, right? The moon was and asteroids are not fully differentiated, so those were never fully molten,
right?
And so they didn't have the heaviest elements settled to the center. Anywho,
Kent Professional Ice Dome Miner Halstead for $4.99 says, "Has anyone built Noah's Ark to see if it floats with cargo?" And the answer is, I believe, kind of. So there was a guy, I wish I remember where, it was somewhere in Northern Europe, who built a scale replica ark on the water and tried to sail it around, not full of animals, but I think it was full of some kind of dummy cargo or something. And no, he had to be rescued. Yeah, like it didn't work out. There's a reason why the ark replica that Ken Ham built is a building in a landlocked state, and not an active seagoing vessel that you can take a ride on.
Mm-hmm.
There's a very good reason for that. Because even Ken Ham knows that he couldn't actually build that and make it seaworthy. And the reason that it's not even the landlocked building in the shape of an ark, the reason that doesn't have a bunch of animals in there is that he knows that even his modern-day industrial HVAC system would not be enough to keep the animals alive. Because one of the most complicated kinds of cargo ships that are out there are actually livestock cargo ships. They have to have incredibly complicated, well-engineered, super efficient ventilation systems, because there's this thing that animals do, which is produce toxic gases that will build up if they don't have anywhere to go.
Mm-hmm.
And just the ark as it is couldn't accommodate the human visitors without the air becoming toxic, without modern HVAC systems. And it currently absolutely could not handle being full of livestock. That's not a possibility. So, like, there's... Which is, again, why I'm saying things like, I don't care about the shape of the boat. The shape of the boat can be whatever you want it to be. Have as many moon pools as you want. Have as many drogue stones as you want. I don't care. There are so many other fundamental problems that are just insurmountable. All right. Tad for $5 says, the Venn diagram of ancient aliens people and Atlantis people is one pixel diversion. And the pixel is which kind of racism? I mean, look, there's a lot of truth to that, and I'm not going to pretend that that's not the case. Although I will say that there are areas where they disagree, right? Like, if you said to Graham Hancock that you thought that actually the aliens built Atlantis, he's probably not going to take you seriously. Although, to be fair, he also knows that he won't be taken seriously if he says Atlantis, even though that's definitely what he believes. It's in his books. So... And I will also say, I am with Graham Hancock in saying that he has not expressed any... he has not expressed the white supremacy that people have accused him of. However, his ideas were invented by white supremacists and are still used by white supremacists today to amplify their rhetoric about white supremacy. And so while Graham Hancock himself may or may not be a white supremacist, he is giving them aid and comfort, and that's not okay.
Yeah.
Thylaculean Malleable Marsupial Kennedy gifted 5 Dapper Dinosaur memberships, so let's take 5 drinks for that.
Cheers.
1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then Roach Schwarzschild Radio Star Keller for $1.99 said, but you see, Gopherwood has special properties. Oh, of course, I forgot. Gopherwood, that's the thing.
Gopherwood. Why don't we build the space shuttles out of Gopherwood? If it can protect...
I did hear someone...
It's the best heat shield!
I did once encounter someone saying something like, why don't we build the planes out of the stuff the black boxes are built out of if they always survive the plane crashes?
Yeah.
Sorry. It was just one of those like,
honey.
oh, that's so cute.
Oh, honey. Yeah.
Yeah. Goop23 for $10 says, late to the stream because I was watching Taskmaster with my mom, but I'm always down to pay Dapper to do random things. I'll hold you to that someday. All right, here's the thing. We are going to take a quick break because I am almost out of this beer. We're a little bit late on the break anyway. So in the meantime, hey, enjoy the teaser trailer for the next episode of Star Trek Lexington. The next to last episode. We only got 2 more to go. So, all right, we'll be right back. Next time on Star Trek Lexington.
Captain's Log, Stardate 7185.4. We are en route to the Madrigal system under orders from Admiral Thierry. We've already had our rendezvous with the USS Takala, which picked up Admiral Stoker for transport to Starbase 1. Long-range sensors have picked up gravimetric anomalies, and I've chosen to call in the skills of Lieutenant Turin in our investigations. She studied gravimetric tensor calculus at the Vulcan Science Academy, so she should be a valuable addition to the investigation.
Upon reaching the Madrigal system, the crew of the Lexington will find a spatial anomaly. The anomaly has disruptive effects on Federation technology similar to the Tilakal technology in the Pascal system. Can they stop the effects of the anomaly while also learning where it's from? Find out next time on Star Trek Lexington, only on the Top Hats Off channel.
Now it's back, but it's missing half of my captured things, like chat. What is... OBS, what are you doing to me right now?
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
This is very upsetting. This
The
is...
Magikarp system.
Alright, well, I don't know what happened to chat. I don't know why OBS is doing this to me. I don't like it. But, like, I think y'all can hear me. I don't know why chat is not showing up.
Also says no music from Bent.
No, there was no music from Bent. We came back too fast for that. Okay, for $2, Rael Gatubello says, where did Noah get so many burrowing rodent dongs? Oh, nice. Wait, does
Hey,
this
speaking
work?
of burrowing rodents, if you
Yes.
if you want to see, let's see, I'm playing an otter named Julie, and my friend Allison is playing a little vole whose name I can't remember right now, but it's written down in my notes over there that my sister's cat is not going to steal this time. Come check out our next OK Rolls next live stream is going to be Sunday, March the 9th.
Okay.
Yeah, second Sundays at 8 p.m. Central. Have a fun, cozy time. That was a transition. Hey, Dapper, what's coming up on your channel?
Well, I mean, I'm mostly going to give that at the very end, but I am going to give...
sorry.
No worries.
Dapper, do your commercial.
Yeah, I'm actually going to switch that up a little bit. So, if you don't follow me on Blue Sky, first of all, you should. Second, I don't know why chat is still not here. It's set to the right window. OBS has just been like, no, you just no. So that's great. Oh, look, I made it come back by switching a setting that I don't even know what that setting is. Thanks.
Listen, there's an otter pun in chat right now, Dapper. I'm really happy about that.
That is nice. All right, so if you guys want to support me, you know how. There's the channel memberships, there's the Patreon, there's super chats, all that stuff. Go do that stuff. That's great. However, I recently put out a post, I guess, on Blue Sky, and I'm going to read it for the chat. If you are not American, please don't buy American goods or book travel to the former USA. You should treat the country like the rogue state it is. Yes, such a boycott will harm me directly. And I'm still sticking by that. Now look, I understand that the United States exports a whole heck of a lot of stuff, and it can be nigh on impossible to avoid buying American goods. Some of the industries that are most important to, especially the red states, which are the ones that I think we need to be targeted the most, because they're the places where those are the places where the current regime has the most support and can least afford to lose support. So some of those things will include things like grains, like U.S. corn or wheat. It will also include things like U.S.-based alcohol, especially liquor. Wine is less important because a lot of that ends up coming from places like California, which aren't big red states. But things like vodka, especially bourbon, don't buy bourbon. Other American whiskeys, just don't do that. And also lumber. The U.S. exports some lumber from red states. Although if you're not in like Canada or Mexico, I don't know how much U.S. lumber is coming into your country. Probably not that much. But yeah, those are some things to do. Because currently, the United States is probably surpassed Russia in terms of threat to international and world stability. So yeah, you should treat the United States like the pariah that it's turning itself into. And that is instead of my normal commercial. Now, if that means that you don't want to support me, I understand that. And that is perfectly valid. Because, quite frankly, the money you give me is going to go into the U.S. economy. Because that's where I am right now. So I don't have an option to do a hard boycott on American goods. Because, like, literally, what would I eat? There's not a great answer to that, right? Like, all the vegetables that I have available to me at the grocery store were grown in this country. There's probably a few that were grown in Mexico, but, like, not enough that I'm going to be able to live healthily off of that. So, yeah. That is my thing there. If you are able to, please don't avoid buying American products, and especially those products that are produced in quote-unquote red states. If you need help with that, I know that Chesh has put together a couple lists of common American brands that have easy substitutions, at least in Canada. And also, please don't book travel here.
Yeah.
Now, if you can't afford to cancel your travel plans, I get it, but don't book additional travel here. And if you can afford to cancel your travel plans, I would encourage you to do so, especially if you have refund options available to you. For one thing, it's not a safe place to visit.
It's not.
No. Yep. Especially if you are not a white European.
Yeah.
If you're anything else, I would strongly encourage you not to visit. And if you are a white European, I'd still say you probably shouldn't, but you'll probably at least be relatively safe.
That's on principle, not for your own safety.
Yeah. If you are from anywhere in Latin America, I guess except Quebec, because technically Quebec is part of Latin America, or you're from Africa, or you're from Central Asia, or West Asia, I would highly recommend that you avoid the United States for safety.
Pibblepunk, what's your favorite channel emoji? And then everyone give them that.
Yes. Pillpunk, half dog, half canine for $10 says, some family I'm not talking to anymore straight up told me they care more about deporting immigrants than my civil rights as a trans person. This is an awful time to be stuck in this country. Yes, it is. Also, I've been getting reports that, so there's currently a new rule in place that disallows trans people from getting passports with the gender with which they identify, rather than the one which was on their birth certificate at birth. And I've also been hearing reports, scattered but significant reports, that trans people are just being denied passports, even if they apply for them under the gender that was at birth, that they had at birth. And I don't encourage you to commit any crimes. However, please do know that the vast majority of the U.S.-Canadian border is not actively patrolled by either country.
Yeah.
And the windows of heaven were opened. These two events...
I like how the windows of heaven were opened is apparently a commentary impact, because here's a fun thing. Genesis describes a dome over the flat earth, and the windows of heaven, which are also referenced in the Psalms later on, are literally gates in the dome that lets in the water from above the sky. It's not comets. it's not just, rain clouds formed naturally. Which also, hey, Maddie, you're some kind of a person who knows about the air, right?
I do know about the air. I also know a lot about meteor impacts because that's all my undergraduate research was. I did undergraduate research for 3 years on that.
So I have a question for you.
What you got?
Could it rain enough to flood the Earth?
No.
Could it rain for like 180 or so days in a row?
All over planet Earth? No.
Even just over one spot?
Constantly?
Yeah.
No.
Huh. What about Ferenginar?
Ferenginar, yes.
Okay, good. Wanted to double check.
I don't know how, but I have it on good authority that it does happen.
I just assume that it's not constant, and that that's just like where the capital city is just in the middle of a constant rainstorm. This is like a weird confluence of like ocean tide, they're not tides, but what do you call them? Currents and like air wind pattern weirdness going on. And it just
I kind of assume that they have like less of Ferenginar is habitable, right? And so that their population is more focused towards like the equator.
It's very cold on most of Ferenginar, huh?
That's what I would assume, right? Okay. And so because you would want to be listen, the place you're gonna get the best chance of perma rain is gonna be a tropical region. Yeah. Right. If you think about like monsoon season. Right. I don't know how you get monsoon without a dry season. Hey, listen, I just want to do a quick little piece of advice for American citizens in the chat. Hey, team, it's not a bad time to make sure your passport's up to date, right? Because that can take weeks to months, and that's going to take longer the more federal employees get fired, right? So if you're a grown-up, that's good for 10 years. If you're 16 or younger, that's good for 5. Just make sure it's up to date. If you've never had one, try to apply for one. Because it's something that takes time, right? Also, and there are a dozen 20+ countries that Americans can visit without visas. You could just show up and stay for 3 months.
The farther away you are from being specifically a straight, white, cis Protestant man, that the farther away you are from that or being able to pose as that should be reflected in the expediency with which you go get a passport.
Yeah.
So if you're not white or white passing, or you're not a cis man, or you can't pretend to be Protestant, or you are well known to not be straight, those are all great reasons to go out and get a passport as soon as possible. Because remember that poem?
Yeah.
Where it's like first they came for the trade unionists and whatnot. Well, first they came for the federal workers.
I know the rest of the poem.
Yeah, they're doing the first they came for the federal workers this time. But yeah, if you know the rest of the poem, this is the time when you should either speak up, or if that's not really an effective thing for you, just maybe have an escape plan.
Began the first day of a series of events that changed the...
Okay. So, Maddie, this is supposed to be the Earth during the flood. I'm going to take a drink.
I am not saying the words I want to say because you said this is a child-friendly stream.
Well, you get 1 F-bomb per stream. I mean, the whole stream does, for free.
The fuck is this, Dapper?
This is the Earth during the flood, where it's completely covered in clouds and raining everywhere.
No.
And also hypercanes.
Doesn't change
hypercanes
in the past or a flood. The size of planet Earth, that doesn't change. Oh, do they think our rotation rate has changed? Has our rotation rate changed, Dapper? Has it?
I mean, none of it makes any sense. So maybe they think the size and the rotation rate of the Earth has changed.
Well, guess what? That's too bad. You can't. That's not how this works. That's
Maddie. I selected this video specifically because I knew there was going to be meteorology nonsense in it.
Good God. All right, team, we're starting with it. Okay, if Earth did not rotate, right, if we were a sphere but still, then the global atmospheric circulation, right, would be such that we have rising air at the equator that then goes up aloft, using that word correctly,
Ooh, nice.
to high in the atmosphere, and then it goes to the poles where it would sink and then come back to the equator. Here's something that's really important. That rising air at the equator is associated with a low pressure system, right? Low pressure systems are associated with bad weather, right? It rains a lot at the equator. There is persistent lower pressure at the equator, right? Who here knows the fun fact that Antarctica is actually the largest desert in the world?
Oh, I know that.
Da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da? Yeah. Hey, why is that, you ask? Great question. I would love to answer it. It's because of the persistent high pressure system that's caused by the net sinking air from aloft, using that word correctly, coming down.
Bodhi, take notes.
Right? Bodhi, take notes, exerting extra pressure there. So the poles are low precipitation areas,
I
right?
think that was the highest I've ever heard your voice get.
Hurricanes
It wasn't a challenge, but okay.
Synoptic, not planetary scale systems. Okay? Synoptic, not planetary scale.
Just like the first three
I'm
gospels.
describing planetary scale stuff, right? A synoptic system can overwrite what's going on locally, right? But not globally. Okay? Right? So a hurricane can exist and it doesn't change that like big arching circulation. So in reality, Earth spins. And so that one big cell I described is broken up into 3 cells. So air that rises from the equator generally sinks around 30 degrees. Hey, fun fact, that's where the Sahara Desert is. So that's a high pressure. We have persistent high pressure right around 30 degrees. We have lots of deserts there. And then we have air that generally rises around 60 degrees and it sinks. So that air goes up and it can go poleward and equator where it sinks at the poles and at 30 degrees, right? So we have persistent high pressure systems where rain is uncommon at plus or minus 30, plus or minus 90, right? So one thing, a hurricane, which is a synoptic scale system that's like about 1,000 kilometers, right, isn't strong enough to overwrite that planetary atmospheric motion. Hypercanes are a real term, right? Because in the past, hurricanes used to be bigger and stronger. Right? On a warmer planet in the past, hurricanes existed and they were bigger and stronger than they are today.
And hey, humans are working on bringing back the hypercanes.
Boy howdy, we sure are. Oh yeah, you see how those hypercanes are rotating in opposite directions? They can't do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so things hurricanes can and can't do. Glad you asked. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Real quick, before we do that, we got a couple of super chats. Josh McGee's for $10 says, for the F-bomb fund, which means you get another one. And then Rochina Schwarzschild Radio Star Keller for $4.99 says, I love how all the hypercanes are going in opposite directions. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's talk about why that can't happen. Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah? Is it going to involve the Coriolis effect?
It sure is.
Yay!
Hey, fun fact, team. Earth rotates. That's a thing that it does. Right?
I don't know. Robertson Jenis disagrees with you. And he is a big-time tradcath, so...
Well, he can fuck himself.
Well, there you go. There's the second one.
Hey, he bought it for me. I'm gonna use it.
No, that's fair.
Okay, so the Earth is a sphere, and it's rotating. So, and the atmosphere is rotating along with planet Earth, right? You could imagine a weird system where you had like the Earth rotating under the atmosphere and the air didn't move.
It'd be very windy.
But because of friction at the surface and because the Earth has been rotating for a really, really, really long ass time.
Like 6,000 years.
Turns out, yeah, no. This is, no. No. It's been rotating for a really long ass time, so it moves as a singular system, right? It's a singular system. You can do this little experiment yourself. Get a table that spins, right? This table rotates, right? Put a tank of water on top of that table, right? Just get your aquarium tank, put it on there, right? And eventually, at first, it'll just be a tank of water that is spinning. But eventually, after I think within a day, that water will spin up, right? There will be a transfer of angular momentum from the table to the water itself via contact forces. And that water is going to take on a parabolic shape that is a function of the rotation rate of the gosh darn table. Okay,
but have you considered that that's super inconvenient for the flood narrative? Because I think you haven't taken that into account. And it would be really way more convenient if you just pretended none of that stuff was true. Okay, I'm going to hit play.
No, I'm not done.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm not done. Because, this is all Coriolis is what we're talking about, right? Coriolis is what we call a fictitious force. We call it a fictitious force because fundamentally what it is just conservation of angular momentum, right? So the air at the equator and the air here in Oklahoma, right? It rotates around planet Earth. It makes one rotation in 24 hours. But it turns out the circle, if you cut the top off the Earth at my latitude, that circle is smaller than the Earth's radius, than the circle at the equator.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so the air where I live must be traveling slower than the air at the equator to complete a shorter circuit in the same amount of time. So when air from the equator that we just talked about, right? We just talked about how it goes up, it goes aloft, and then it moves towards the poles, right? And it's like, oh my God, it's moving faster than the air it's interacting with. So it goes whoop, it curves to the right in the northern hemisphere, to the left in the southern hemisphere, because it's curving, it's going to move in the direction of the Earth's rotation. So what does this mean for hurricanes? Actually, I would love to tell you. It means that hurricanes in the northern hemisphere always rotate clockwise, and
When
hurricanes
viewed from
in the
above.
southern, when viewed from above, yes.
Oh, also drink from Mothra.
Okay. So they rotate cyclonically. And then in the southern hemisphere, they rotate anti-cyclonically when viewed from above. Okay. Right, because the air comes in, it goes around. Sorry.
Take that breath. We got a couple super chats.
Hurricanes in the northern hemisphere rotate counterclockwise. I am dumb. I said that backwards because I mixed up cyclonic and clockwise because they both start with C's.
Right. I'm going to read a couple super chats. Ken Professional Ice Dome Miner Halstead for $1.99 says, "Thanks, Maddie. Now all my fish are dead."
Wait, why are your fish dead?
Because you put them on the rotating table, and now they all got all confused.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Don't do that.
Sora Nowhart for 56 says, "Maddie, are you okay, Maddie?" No. The answer is no. Aren't you glad you're not pregnant for this stream? So that way you can drink?
Yeah, I can have wine for this stream. So I'm very happy. Okay. Okay, but the point is that hurricanes actually cannot form between plus and minus 5 degrees latitude because the Coriolis force is insufficient for them to turn, right? And then when they move into the jet stream, so if they try to go from a tropical to an extratropical transition, unless they are incredibly, incredibly strong, they get sheared apart and or lose their power because the oceans are colder. So like, I get it, heat problem. We don't have to worry about how cold the water is, whatever, right? But you still would have an empty band of 10 degrees latitude right around the equator where hurricanes cannot form.
All right, but given the current situation in the world, what would happen if you were to throw a nuclear weapon at a hurricane?
Nothing.
Wouldn't you at least get a radioactive hurricane?
I mean, I guess you get a radioactive hurricane, but the energy in a nuclear weapon is like 100 times less than the energy of a hurricane.
What if we threw 100 at it then?
Then you would have a radioactive hurricane.
Oh, okay.
A really radioactive hurricane.
All right. Well, that's...
Yeah.
I don't know why that would be useful to anyone, but you never know. Hey, everybody. Fun fact, you can't get the sunlight inside your veins. Here we go.
History of Earth and mankind itself.
I was going to say, Matt did not make any of these graphics.
No. Like, you'd think with, like, he's got pretty good stock footage here. You'd think he could have gotten a better mic.
The thing is, stock footage is free on the internet if you're willing to steal it. Microphones are much harder to just download from the internet.
Hey, you know what you can get from your local library? A microphone.
Can you?
Yeah, my local library has a podcast studio.
Huh. Today I learned.
Libraries are amazing.
Giant rifts or tears ran thousands of miles.
Okay, I gotta point out, why is there no continental shelf?
That's a good question.
Like, the continents just go from the land just straight into an ocean trench. And that is not how any of this works. The only thing I can think of is that someone had a topology map of the Earth, of like the oceans, right, as a height map.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then there was no data for the land, which meant that the height map just colored in all the land as white, most likely. And then whoever was making this just dumped that into whatever displacement they're using for this 3D model. And therefore, all of the land is just this giant plateau that juts straight out of the ocean for some reason. Because fundamentally, this height map was never designed to be used as a displacement map for a 3D Earth. And yet it was used that way. And also, I might do too much CGI. Sometimes when I'm watching an actual movie, my brain can see all the math nodes that they use to create the procedural textures. And I'm like, I can see exactly which procedural textures you use and how you mix them together. I see it.
You should just watch more Miyazaki, man.
Yeah, but seriously, sometimes when I'm watching a movie with lots of CGI, it's like seeing the code in the Matrix. I'm like, I know what you did there. Let's see. Pillpunk Half Talk Half Cannon for $5 says, could a nuke disrupt a small tornado? Still a monumentally dumb idea, but it seems more feasible. Maddie, could a nuke disrupt a small tornado? I'm thinking yes, but I don't know.
Okay. The argument... Hold on, I'm going to put my wine back in...
Okay.
Okay. The easiest argument to make as to why it won't work for a hurricane is because of the amount of energy involved.
Mm-hmm.
So... like, I don't know off the top of my head the relative energies of a tornadic system, because there's a ton, right? There's still a ton of energy, just in a much smaller area. But I don't know the relative values. So, my question in all of this is like, okay. I think in theory, if you knew... So tornado, if you're unfamiliar, you start with... imagine my arm here is an axis of rotation, and it's currently, like, parallel to the ground.
Okay.
Right? And you start with air that rotates like this. So we start with what we call horizontal vorticity. Vorticity is a measure of the rotation of something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we start with horizontal vorticity, and then we're in a strong wind shear environment. Sorry. So we take stuff that's already spinning like this, and then you tilt it up, and that's how you get a tornado, right? We start here, and then the winds force it up, and now it's rotating along a different axis. So if you were going to disrupt local winds, right, to prevent that from tilting up, maybe you could do that if you knew where it was about to form. But that's not something we can detect. So if you just went and blew a nuclear weapon up in the middle of a tornado, what would happen? Like, I don't know. Does anybody, Dapper, either you or in chat, know, like, okay, so like winds in... like, what's the speed of the propagation of the, like, outer edge of the explosion?
it's basically the speed of sound.
Yeah, but that's also true inside of a tornado. You get Mach winds inside of a tornado.
Okay. Well, then they're about the same.
So then they're about the same. Okay, so maybe like it's a bad idea, but maybe maybe it would be of the same order of magnitude.
As a general rule, setting off a nuclear device is a bad idea. Just overall.
Yeah, I think we should never do it again.
Well, okay, but what about the atomic bomb propulsion system for interstellar travel? Where as fuel, you don't know about this?
I don't know about this.
Okay,
I don't know about this.
This is a hypothetical propulsion method that is designed for going to like nearby star systems at sublight speeds, right? So instead of having a traditional like chemical propellant or anything, your quote unquote fuel is just a bunch of thermonuclear devices, and the back of the ship is just a thick radiation shield. And what you do is you shoot the atomic devices out the back of the ship with a delay.
Okay.
Then after the delay, the device explodes, and the pressure wave from that is used to push the ship. And with this, because you're getting so much more energy per unit mass out of the fuel than with a chemical rocket, you have a much more efficient system at the expense of, needing to radiation shield everything and having a very jerky acceleration profile. But it is in fact a hypothetical propulsion system that has been seriously proposed by rocket guys. It violates a bunch of international treaties, but
yeah, I mean, that legit poses very little risk to the general human population.
True, yeah.
Right?
If you're just detonating nukes in interstellar space, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. That neutron radiation is gonna decay before it hits Earth.
I heard a neutron once.
Fun fact: neutrons are unstable.
Yeah. And also kind of dangerous because they're hard to shield.
Yeah, no. Neutron radiation, super dangerous. Don't want to touch that. But in the middle of space, less scary.
I remember I had some plastic that had been exposed to neutron radiation just crumble in my hand. That was an interesting experience.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
I was like, look, radiological stuff. That's fun. I'm gonna have to take care of that. Yeah. Hey, changing lights inside of a reactor compartment sucks.
Oh, I'm sure.
All right, we're gonna hit play. We don't look. We're more than 3/4 of the way through. We got this.
Not of the video, of the stream.
Of the stream, yes. Of the video, we're barely any of the way through. We're 3 minutes into an hour and 20-minute video. So.
Planet. This is where the fountains of the great deep broke forth.
Okay, but
no.
If that were true, then rather than being volcanic vents, they should just be cracks under which is some kind of void or something. But that's not what they are, right? We're just playing pareidolia at this point. It's like, oh.
Yeah, also, hey, you know how Yuckers like to point to things like hey, we can find water in the mantle today, right? Hey, you know how that water got there?
Subduction. Yeah. It's from the surface.
With the water that's there went under.
You're confusing the order in which this goes. Water from surface go down, not water from below go up. It's very opposite. Also, that water doesn't form into a subterranean ocean. It's like little individual molecules surrounded by lithic material. And sure, there's a lot of it, but it's not. You couldn't swim in it.
And that water can it's necessary for continental crust to form. I don't remember my geology class from ago.
I don't think I ever actually took a geology class.
I had to for my double major. So I double majored in math and then Earth, atmospheric, and planetary sciences. And 12001 is Intro to Geology, and at the time that was required for all course 12 majors, which is Earth, Atmospheric, and Planetary Sciences.
Oh, I forgot
So I had
the
to take
super
12.
chat.
Oh.
Roach in a Schwarzschild Radio Star Keller for $1.99 said, Raw Matt still uses his potato mic today. Yeah, I don't know if it's the same potato mic, but he has really bad audio quality just in general. And I'm not saying that as someone who's like, I have the best audio quality. I know I don't. But like,
I don't either, but like, I've got a Yeti. It's not complete trash.
Right. All right, here we go.
Jetting it.
That was trash audio. What?
Yeah, that was just clipping.
Continue. I don't like it.
Mm-mm.
Then we shoot water into the atmosphere. Cool. Hey, that's not how atmospheres work. Continue.
Along with massive amounts of stones and debris from the Earth's crust. All of these things would have been bombarding the canopy that surrounded the Earth, reflecting them back into the Earth's surface.
Matt,
he wants the ice canopy to be there.
I'm just going to take a drink. Matt, look, if you want people to say that there was a canopy over the Earth and agree with you on this, you got to at least establish that there's a canopy, what it's made of, how you think it exists, any of these things. I'm taking a drink.
Anything, yeah. Maybe he did in the bits we skipped over.
No, because we didn't skip over. Well, okay, we only skipped over some scripture bits, though. It was basically just raw Matt reading the Bible at us.
Yeah, but he could have talked about. I don't know why I'm defending him, but he could have talked about the firmament.
I suppose that's true. All right. Renee Heat Problem Reborn has just gifted a membership, so thank you very much. We'll take a drink for it. It is much appreciated. And hey, I mean, technically, we could get bent free pizza today. I think we only need to get to 96%. And Bent likes free pizza. I like pizza as well, although I'm the one who pays for it. So,
causing even more destruction and turmoil, until eventually one of the projectiles will be destroyed.
Matt, if your audio is already clipping, don't frickin' talk over it. What? You can see the waveform when you're editing. Taking a drink. I can't with this right now. This is... Oh my god. It's not that hard to stop your audio from clipping in the final product, man. Even if the original source audio is clipping, just turn it down a little bit. And if you're going to talk over it, turn it down a whole lot more. It's still going to sound like crap because apparently you don't know how to import like audio into your timeline. Because I'm pretty sure the original audio for this wasn't actually clipping, because whoever had the budget to make these visuals probably had the budget to not clip their audio. You know what this is reminding me of? The Room by Tommy Wiseau. There's so many incomprehensibly insane choices that were choices. Matt chose to bring this video clip in, and he chose to have the audio cranked up to the point that it was above the audio levels that whatever file format he outputted this in could handle, such that it was going to clip. And then he chose to simply slap his voiceover on top of that. These were all choices, and I don't understand a single one of them.
Yeah.
It really does remind me of The Room. And if you haven't seen The Room, written, directed by, and starring and produced by Tommy Wiseau, boy, are you missing out. For one thing, you're probably doing the sex wrong, because Tommy knows how to actually do the sex, and it involves a whole lot more belly button than you're thinking.
Complete other note, I saw this in chat earlier of several people talking about how they can't afford a passport. There are passport fee waiver applications.
Yep.
So that is a thing you can do. Eligibility for a fee waiver.
Also, I want to point out, we do have a community here. If you can submit evidence that you actually are unable to get a passport and the amount and whatnot, it's not impossible that we couldn't get that together for you, especially if you're someone who really needs to get out of Dodge.
Yeah, listen, I've had a little wine tonight, but I will try to tomorrow at least put together the information about the fee waivers, and put that together and maybe I'll drop it. Dabra, I can drop it in your Discord if you're okay with that.
Yeah, just send it in our DMs and remind me that I'm supposed to add it to the description here. And it will be in the description. Hopefully by end of day tomorrow. Got a few super chats here. Joshua Geese for $10 says refilling for thirsty F-bomb. Pillowpunk half dog half canine for $10 says I got free pizza today because they sent me the wrong order, so might as well share the blessings. Awesome. Actually, last time I got pizza, they sent me the wrong order. I ordered some buffalo hot sauce on top of the pizza, and it just wasn't there. So I thought about complaining, and then I realized, you know what? I don't care enough, and I have way more buffalo hot sauce than I need in my kitchen. So I just put some of my own on there, and I was like, it's fine. Roshan Schwarzschild Radio Star Keller for $4.99 says he used Windows Live Movie Maker to make this. No audio levels. Oh, that could actually be it.
Yeah.
Ugh. Hey, Mac, get real editing software.
Yeah.
You can get free open source editing software. It's not that hard to do. Yeah, that could very well be it. Oof. All right, here we go.
Oof.
Long enough to fracture and break apart the firmament.
Oh. It's just a bunch of audio nonsense.
Yeah,
there's nothing
it's just
discernible.
Storm audio.
Yeah, I can't understand a word he says when that's going on. Right-handed Sith says, or need to get out of Doge. I see what you did there.
But anyway, I'd also like to point out that we don't see like impacts like is being depicted here anymore. I'm pretty sure the late heavy bombardment was 2.9 billion years ago, and meteor impacts since then are sparse.
Okay.
Right? So the last...
But Maddie, have you considered Nuh-uh because Bible?
I have not, but I would need them to propose either a mechanism or a miracle for how you get this density of meteorites.
Gravity.
And I'm assuming he means large scale ones.
It's
right, and not what you would see in like a local meteor shower.
It's gravity.
That's not how that works, Dapper.
Well, okay, but what if it is?
Dapper, but that's not how that works. We know when the late heavy bombardment was. Goodness gracious.
What? You just learned that at school. A school that was trying to turn you into a Satanist.
I sure did it. God damn it.
Let's take a drink for all that nonsense.
Yes, please.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that you can do that's really cool is crater counts are a form of relative dating.
Ooh.
Right? So we know that, say, like you look at the moon, right? And the mare, the dark parts, are less heavily cratered than the highlands, the light parts, which tells us that the highlands are older than the mare, right? Similarly, like the Mercury. Mercury's surface is very heavily cratered. There is a point of like saturation, and that has to do with like number of craters per area, right? Where you can't differentiate ages beyond that, beyond like saturation.
Right, because it's just all craters all the way down.
Yeah, because it's just all craters everywhere. But basically, that means if it's all craters everywhere, that corresponds to it is at least as old as the late heavy bombardment, which was, again, I think 2.9 billion years ago. Could be older, right? But is at least that old. And then since then, stuff has been recycled. So Mercury is like saturated. All of Mercury is old. The moon, the mare are not. The mare are younger than that, which is really interesting. And Pluto, this was one of the things that was really, really interesting about Pluto, is you saw like the heart shape that's on Pluto that is relatively less cratered than the rest of Pluto, indicates that sometime in the last 2.9 billion years, that crust on Pluto was recycled. which is baffling. We didn't think that could happen, and I don't think we know how that happened. But anyway, I can't remember right now about Mars's surface. I don't think Mars is full. I really don't think Mars is fully saturated. So it's younger.
Maybe in some of the southern highlands it might be, but overall, no, it's definitely not.
Okay, cool. So I was like, I feel a little dumb here, but I'm
the southern
a few glasses of wine in,
overall,
and I didn't study Mars. I studied.
Right.
But yeah,
overall, the
density,
southern hemisphere
number
of Mars
of craters
is older.
per area is a form of relative dating.
Okay. Roshan Schwarzschild Radio Star Killer for $4.99 points out something that I was probably going to talk about. The video is just showing ejecta right now, some of which went on to form Saturn's rings and flood Mars. Yeah, see, what you're getting wrong is the idea that all these craters are actually coming from like asteroids and comets out in space. They're actually coming from Earth, because as the fountains of the Great Deep break open, all that water and rock is shooting into space, deep into the solar system, to crater all the other planets and moons and whatnot. And that is an actual thing the guy who proposed this hydroplate idea is on record as supporting, is that all of the craters in the solar system were actually formed by Earth ejecta when the fountains of the Great Deep opened up.
Hey, if that were true, don't you think that the near side of the moon would be either more or at least as much heavily cratered than the far side of the moon that faces away from?
Okay, I see why you would think that, but actually so many bits of rock and water hit the moon on the near side that it actually melted smooth. And there you go. So problem solved.
Jesus fucking Christ, Dapper.
I'll take a drink. Yeah, it's as bad as you think it is. Now, I want to be fair to most young Earth creationists. The vast majority of young Earth creationists reject Walt Brown's idea for basically the same reasons that Maddie just couldn't even handle hearing about it. Also,
yeah, somebody bought me the F-bomb, Dapper. I'm not gonna not use it.
I get it. I'm not complaining. So basically, I actually did once do like a back of the envelope calculation of like, okay, how many craters of what size are on different planets and moons, and how far away are they, and what kind of energy would it take to get all this ejecta from here? And basically, it's another heat problem that just turns the Earth into a new sun. The Earth is now hot enough to just initiate fusion.
How do you get the Kuiper Belt?
No, see, they don't believe in the Kuiper Belt. I know that we found dozens of objects in the Kuiper Belt, but they still don't believe in it.
Okay, how do you get both Pluto and Mercury relatively with the same crater density?
Well, see, since they're both at saturation and ignore the fact that Pluto isn't, then they probably weren't hit at the same density, just both above saturation. There you go. You okay? You gonna make it?
No.
No, I'm not okay either.
Damn video.
We have a super chat. Ken Professional Ice Stone Miner Halstead says, "How is there so much water, XD?" Well, that's the thing. There isn't. There fundamentally is not enough water for any of this to happen. Like, in the solar system.
No. There's not.
And the water fell back to the Earth as intense global rain.
Oh no. Why are we doing O4 Tuna?
I'm sorry. The water shoots shit up to the moon and then just falls back down as rain?
Well, see, not all of it goes as far as the moon. Some of it only goes like halfway to the moon.
Hey, how does rain form?
Do
you think Ramat knows?
Sometimes God gets sad because of all your sins, and then he cries, and it rains on the earth. See, I knew this was going to break Maddie. I'm sorry, Maddie, this is not entirely intentional, but yeah. Oh, Maddie's got emotional support, Batman. We'll take a drink, too. We'll take a drink, Maddie.
Okay, I'm taking a drink. I have my emotional support Batman.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I haven't needed him in a while.
The moon itself bears witness to this.
I was just pointing out that was what Walt Brown said. Matt hadn't said it, but here we go. This is the moon before, with its nice smooth surface.
As the moon does not rotate, yet
the moon doesn't rotate, everybody. Take a drink.
God damn it!
Matt, there's a difference between being tidally locked.
The moon is on a 1-to-1 tidal lock with the Earth.
Mm-hmm. It rotates once a month.
Rotates. Mm-hmm. It rotates every 28 days. It has a once every 28 days sunrise and sunset. Mm-hmm. This, by the way, is why solar-powered spacecraft can orbit the moon.
what faces us shows clear evidence of bombardment from the very projectiles shot out from the Earth.
Okay, so what about the heavier projectiles on the other side, Matt? Where did those come from? Ambi Carcinogistic Z for $2 says, it's the smooth moon. The smoon.
Moon.
I love that. Oh, and then it came in again. Thank you for sending it twice. I think YouTube is just screwing up today. All right. All right, so we really don't have enough time to keep going, even though O Fortuna is playing, which is a piece of music I do like, but I'm pretty sure that this particular series of Raw Matt videos is just going to get copyright claim to hell. So, I don't expect to make any money after you guys stop super chatting on any of these. So that's fun. Maddie, what is coming up for you? Like, when's your next OK Roll stream?
My next OK Roll stream is going to be the second Sunday in March, which should be March 9th. And then, for the next 3 Sundays after that, guys, I have some, like, live filmed and recorded, actual play stuff that we've, done with some, like, local improvisers and actors.
Nice.
And so, we're going to release those about once a quarter. I think we're going to do 4 different of those this year. And so
drink for Mothra.
After drink for Mothra, cheers. So after that, like the 3rd and 4th Sundays in March, and then Sundays after that, we did a thing of Crash Pandas. So we've got a 3 episodes, very silly story of Crash Pandas that'll release throughout March.
Nice.
And yeah, so we'll do another live stream on the 9th. Would love to see you guys there, or like, hey, if you catch the VOD, like, just drop a comment and say hello, so I can say thank you. If you need some distraction from the world, but that's what I've got coming up.
Nice. All right. Well, let's see. On Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, I am releasing "Is Believing in a Young Earth Like Believing in a Flat Earth?" where I have a chat on Craig McNeil's channel with a young Earth creationist called Peter Markley, who likes to do debates about the shape of the Earth on the side of the globe. And basically, earlier I had done a different stream on Craig's channel talking about how believing in a young Earth is a very close parallel to believing in a flat Earth. He, being a young Earth creationist who opposes the flat Earth, took exception. And so he and I had a very nice discussion. It wasn't heated. We didn't yell at each other. But we had a discussion on Craig's channel about whether or not it is reasonable to say that those are very similar things. And whether or not his arguments for a young Earth resembled the arguments that flat Earthers put forward. So that is on Thursday. Friday at, let's see, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Over on Top Hats Off, my other channel, we're going to be playing Star Trek Lexington. The episode is A Piece of the Puzzle. It is the second to last episode.
Is that what penultimate means?
Yes.
Okay.
So it is also the penultimate episode.
The penultimate episode.
Indeed. This past one that we did was the antepenultimate episode. Yep. Although it wasn't last Friday. It was the Friday before. Yeah.
anti-penultimate sounds like not penultimate to me. So wouldn't any episode before it be anti-penultimate?
Well, yes, but only if you want to use the etymological fallacy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Then on Saturday, I will be doing I'm going to be doing a lot on Saturday. So this Saturday is going to be the next Dapper Reacts. Then I'm going to be over on Debate Pub with Chesh for our monthly dues show.
I might be on Chesh's channel tomorrow.
Oh, all right.
Sorry, it's a reschedule, so I forgot about it. I think I'm there tomorrow.
Debate Hub or the Chesh channel?
The Chesh channel to chat climate science.
Nice. All right. So then after that, I'm going to be doing the Cambrian Bunny Awards ceremony on this channel. So, check back in this space for more scheduling things, because hell if I know what's going on with the schedule that day. And then, a week from today, on Tuesday, at the same time, sorry, Jackson with Jackson. And that is it. If you are interested, we will be starting Power Rangers Dino Charge, which is one of the good seasons, over on my Discord server. So feel free to come hang out for that. We did not make it to me having to sing in Arabic, unless, someone wants to dump $80 worth of $10 super chats here in the next few seconds. Which I am not expecting, but would probably put us well over the Ben Gets Pizza number. But hey, so with that being said,
hey, let's try again next month.
There you go. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe out there. Get a passport if you can. If you can't, I don't know, get a bug out bag anyway. All right, bye everybody.
Hey, before you leave, I just want to take a second to thank my patrons and channel members, especially those pledging $20 or above. Ben Tovend, Furrevare, Tapioca Weasel, Whispers, Elron Teller, Ian Chen, Kelvin Brostick Van Mennen, Landon Knoll, Mabbity Babbity, Sphincter of Doom, Vollus, Max Cherry, North Texas Fossils, John Ackerman, and Strawberry Vein. It's because of my channel members and patrons whom you're seeing on screen that this channel can stay afloat. Without you, it would all shut down. If you want to join the team, there's a link to join the channel below this video, and there's a link to join the Patreon in the description. On the Patreon, you can get a 10% discount for pledging annually, and either way, you get early access to virtually all of my scripted videos, often 3 to 5 months before they come out for the general public. Thanks for watching.